Well, hello Tube. Today we have the new reader tag, originally done by Michael over at Bibliophile Bookscape. This is a really good set of questions, and he actually tagged me in it. So thank you for tagging me. That's pretty cool. Um, that's like two tag. I haven't been tagged in tags. I don't think pretty much at all, and I think I've been tagged 3 times this year. So So yeah, that's pretty cool. That people are doing that. So, let's just jump into it here. I can't talk. It's early in the day, and yeah, so we're gonna do our best. What made you want to become a reader? What was there a specific book, person, or moment that sparked your interest? So I had two little. The vast majority of my life, I was not a reader. There's two little times in my life where I became a reader. One was like in my early to mid 20s. I was reading a lot of like uh, Palahniuk and Vonnegut and stuff like that. And then I don't know what happened. I guess I kind of lost interest. Got busy. Got tired. Got all the above. And then what sparked my last thing, and I've talked about this a few times, I think now. I'll go ahead and talk about it here too, in case you didn't see any of my other tags or anything. But I went through a big life change. I don't know, 9-10 years ago, and there's a book, 10% Happier by Dan Harris, that is one of those books that just reached me at the perfect time of my life. And it Yes, it sparked me going down rabbit holes and things. And basically, this is Dan Harris. He was a anchor on like Good Morning America and Nightline and 2020 and all those things. And he had a panic attack live on air, and so not realizing what was going on. If you've never had a panic attack, consider yourself grateful, because it feels like you're gonna die. There's like, you just get overwhelmed with dread, and it's horrible. And those of us that go through them periodically, you just kind of have to learn to live with it. It sucks, and just know that everything's gonna be okay, and it's just gonna pass. Everything will pass. And but he basically goes down a rabbit hole of mindfulness, and basically documents his journey through it, and it made me do the same. Of course, I don't have his contacts, so I wasn't hanging out with Sharon Salzberg and Robert Thurman and those people, but um, it doesn't mean I couldn't still learn from them. So this led me to Ram Dass, and then that whole stuff. And then for years, I thought Ram Dass is Buddhist, and then I found out Ram Dass is actually basically Bhakti Hindu, Neem Karoli Baba. It's all Hinduism, and then that led me to Hinduism, where um, I've kind of spent my time, I guess. Um, so there you go. Uh, Two, what was the first book that made you think I love reading? And so this kind of goes back to my 20s. That's Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. Um, I loved the movie, and I didn't know it was a book. I don't even know how I found out it was a book. So loved the movie, grabbed the book, and then I'm like, oh, this is what books can be. It's like it completely blew my mind, because before that, it's basically what I was assigned in schools, and none of that was fun. And so um, I actually, there in my 20s, I read everything that Chuck had out, and then I went down. I read a bunch of Vonnegut, like I mentioned, and things of this nature. Um, yeah, and then like I said, I just kind of stopped. It kind of fizzled out for some reason. I don't know why. Number 3, what's one of the reading habits you're still trying to develop? And he goes on to say, like, reading consistency, annotating, visiting libraries, etc. And I'm actually going to use one of the ones he mentioned, that's annotating. Now, this is one of the books that I'm very, very slowly working my way through because I'm only this far in. But annotating. And so this is the Hanuman, the devotional power of the monkey god by Vanamali with a foreword by Krishna Das. If you don't know who Krishna Das is, go check him out. He's an amazing, amazing person. Again, part of the Ram Dass Neem Karoli. He was, I should say, part of the Neem Karoli Baba lineage, just like Ram Dass was. He would have been over in India about the same time as Ram Dass and Larry Brilliant and Bhagavad Das and all those people that you might have heard about today. But anyway, I'm reading this and I'm marking it up. I'm not very good at it. Trying to show the problem with like annotating for me, especially something like this, is just so full of information to where this is a pretty good example. I don't know if they'll pick it up, but like nearly this whole page, actually nearly both these pages are either entire paragraphs I've marked or chunks of paragraph. 80% of those 2 pages are marked, and that at a certain point, when you just annotate everything or underline everything, it becomes useless. It doesn't hold any meaning. But I'll put a little star next to like verses and things that are interesting. This one is neither by the repetition of mantras nor by inherent tendencies did I gain perfection, but only through unwavering concentration of the mind on God. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And then sometimes I'll get all smart and try to talk to the book. And of course, I can't read my handwriting, so it's like completely useless for me to do this. Hanuman was not a typical Varana. Was that the word I was trying to get at? Vanara. He was the son of a god. Vanara was only something physical form. Divinity can appear in humble forms. This can give us it looks like horse to be better, but it's definitely not horse. It gives us something to be better. I don't know. I can't read my writing, so it's completely useless. My annotations completely useless. I don't know. I'm new to it, so whatever. You get better at time, right? Um. Number 4. Which genre surprised you the most? A genre you never expected to enjoy. And I don't really have a good answer for this. Because I mean, okay, how about westerns? There we go. I just completely thought about westerns. I've never read a western before June on the Range, and I decided to partake in that first June on the Range, and um completely fell in love with westerns to the point where it's become a normal part of my reading life. So yeah, I guess that would be of course getting like, it wasn't because I thought I was better than a western or anything like that. Like it wasn't about pretentiousness. It was, I just didn't know. Like I didn't know that would be a thing that I would enjoy. So at number 5, what's one book that intimidated you before you started reading, and do you still want to read it someday? So I'm taking this at I don't know how to take this one out. So what I did was I grabbed a book that I haven't read that intimidates me, and I grabbed a book that did intimidate me that I did read. So let's start off with the one that I did read, and that's the Mahabharata by I guess it'd be Valmiki. I assume, I don't remember who actually created the Mahabharata, but this is the Krishna Dharma translation. This is very much abridged. That's an unabridged Penguin Bibik, whatever the person named Bobik, whatever. That's the unabridged. It's like 10,000 pages. That's intimidating. I haven't read, but with with like you don't have to be into Hinduism to read the Mahabharata. It's very much you could read it just as like a story, and you'll get a ton out of it, and it's amazing. There's so much in it. Essentially, it's the story of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and Arjun and his brothers basically get um, their kingdom taken away from them by their cousins, and get sent out to the woods to be, basically was excommunicated. Is that the word I need? And essentially, they decide to come back for their kingdom after their time was over, and they couldn't get it back, and it led to a huge, ginormous war. And there's a whole bunch of other things that happen in this. Um, but yeah, it's very intimidating, especially to a Western reader, because of the names. There's so many people in it. There's so many different stuff that's going on, different locations that you have to kind of remember, and it's just it's a lot. But I think for those who are used to like sci-fi and fantasy, I think you do just fine reading it, because you're already used to names you're not used to and locations you're not used to, and so on and so forth. And the one that I haven't read that I'm intimidated by, I got Gravity's Rainbow here by Thomas Pynchon. Pynchon. So the Don DeLillo project I've been doing all year has been kind of working me up towards Pynchon, because I've not really dived in the world of postmodernism and stuff really. I guess you could kind of count Palahniuk as postmodernist, but his stuff is basically ABCs and 1, 2, 3s compared to some of the stuff that Don DeLillo and Thomas Pynchon and I'm blanking on other postmodern writers, uh, David Foster Wallace, whatever. And so I thought Don DeLillo would be a kind of a good person to start with, just because he's got a lot of smaller stuff that's really supposed to be very good. And so I've been working my way through Don DeLillo this year, hopefully working up to a Thomas Pynchon. I think I have everything of his besides the Shadow Ticket one that just came out. Um, so probably once I'm done with Don DeLillo, I might actually start trying to tackle some Thomas Pynchon. And of course, he has a lot of bricks. This and Bleeding's Edge and Against the Day or whatever. They're all bricks. He didn't really do much in the way of short novels, so that's all my props here. Number 6, how has your reading changed your life so far, big or small? Like I already kind of went through my the Thomas Harris, the Dan Harris, not Thomas Harris, although I am a big fan of the Hannibal stuff. How that kind of progressed and progressed and progressed. But one of the things I think that changed a lot for me relatively recently is that I gotten away from reading like the Eastern religion philosophy stuff, and I dived a lot more into fiction. One of the cool things about fiction is if you get something with meaning, like um, here, I have Siddhartha by Herman Hesse right here. Anything basically Herman Hesse, Kafka, Thomas Mann, although I haven't read a ton of him. But there's a lot of even Fight Club with Chuck Palahniuk. You can get a lot of like really great ideas and stuff that get flushed out in a more enjoyable way than just maybe sitting down and reading a dry philosophical book. So this thing is just chock crammed full of Eastern ideas and ways of life and thing, but told in a way that and plus I think it gives the author a lot more liberty to explore things, because the like the characters are taking the journey as well. So you're I think the authors are able to play with the ideas a lot more and stuff through fiction. Um, what's one reading myth? Number 7. What's one reading myth you discovered isn't true? For example, you have to finish every book, or readers only enjoy classics. And I really couldn't think of anything myth wise, because I guess I don't really care what other people think. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that one. Number 8, if you could ask experienced readers one question, what it would be? And I kind of struggle with this one too. Um, I guess my one question, and that's more of a me problem, is how do you choose your next read? Because uh, I suffer greatly from um analysis paralysis or whatever, where you want to pick up a new book or watch a new movie or watch a new TV show or something, but there's so many options that it's really hard to kind of pick and choose. That's kind of why I do my little reading projects and stuff. So that kind of already tells me what my next read's gonna be for a good chunk of the year. And if I do it by chronological, like publication order, then that makes it even more structured. So if I get done with White Noise, I don't have to jump to Libra. And when I'm done with Libra, I jump to Mao 2, and Mao 2 to the body art, and it's just like, I don't know, it makes it easier for me. But then that's not all my reading, so then I still have to choose 3, 4, 5 books a month or whatever. Uh, on top of it too, and I spend more time, I think, deciding what next to read than I do actually reading sometimes. Number 9. um what's one reading goal you hope to accomplish in the next year? It doesn't have to be a number of books. It could be trying a new genre, rereading a favorite, or building a small library. So I kind of already touched on this again, that I do like my little reading events. So this year I've been doing Don DeLillo. I'm not planning on finishing Don DeLillo this year. I think actually I'm probably going to do less Don DeLillo than I originally even thought, because I'm kind of I've been doing this, like, the bookshelf tour this year, and I've realized how many really good books I have on my shelves that I've read that I honestly can't tell you about. I kept them, so that tells me that I enjoyed them or got something out of them. But when I've been going through my shelf tour, I've really been struggling at remembering why. And then I'm about ready to get into the fiction section. Um, and that's even more intimidating because I've read those books and I should be able to talk about them, but there's a lot of them I can't. Like so a few years back, I did the Michael Crichton project where I read all of Michael Crichton stuff through chronological order. Although he's even though he's been dead for 20 years, he did just release a new book that I haven't read yet that I need to get to before the end of the year, so that way I can stay current. Um, but like so much of like his John Lang stuff, that is just a blur. Like all those books weren't all that different anyway, really, for the most part. That I don't think I could talk about each one individually at all. Like there's no way. And then like some of like the what's his name? Can't I can't read. The dude that wrote All Quiet on the Western Front. Remark Maria Eric Maria Remark. So All Quiet on the Western Front's one of my favorite all time reads, and then I got a bunch of his other stuff. I think I've read 3 or 4 of his other books, and they're a blur as well. And they all, spoiler alert, they all pretty much end the exact same way. That's all I remember. But trying to remember what happened in I can't really read it too well. A a time to I think it's a time to live or a time to die. I just remember that was an absolute banger, but I can't remember what it is. I think I remember some dude trying to go after a chick during maybe World War II or World War I, one of those world wars, but That's all I actually remember of it, and I remember how it ended, like how all of his other books ended. So yeah, I'm kind of getting rambly here. So number 10, tag others. I don't know who's done this and who hasn't. I will say, if you haven't done it and if you've seen this, I suggest you do it. It's pretty cool. It's a good set of questions. I mean, I couldn't answer the one, but I don't think that was because it's a bad question. I don't know. I just don't pay attention, I guess, to other people. Um, I don't really pay attention to what other people scream from the mountaintops. This fact that really isn't. So, yeah, whatever. It's all good. Thank you again to Mike for tagging me in this. That's awesome. And I hope I did the tags justice. And I hope this audio is all right because I just realized my mic settings are screwed up. Yeah, great. I don't know how they've gotten messed up, but they got messed up. So, cheers, peeps. You might just have to crank the volume on this one. Cheers.